Hello guys, and welcome to, well, for a change, not some obscure British sports car. I'm back behind the wheel of a normal, mass-produced, very popular car. This is the Suzuki Vitara Brezza S-Edition. It's a bit of like a special edition of this Vitara Brezza, which is a very popular vehicle, and if you count all the Toyota urban cruisers, which are basically rebadged Suzuki Vitara Brezzas, this is one of the most popular crossovers, if not the most popular crossover in the country. Now, what is special about the Vitara Brezza S-Edition? Essentially what they've tried to do is to give you GL specification, which is pretty decent specification, but nothing, to worry like Chery Tiggo 4 Pro or anything like that. But then sort of a few little cosmetic tweaks to make it look a little bit more special. So you'll see that the grille is a little bit different. They've added sort of gloss, almost chrome-like accents to the front and rear skid plates and the side skirts. You've got the what do you call it, the step plate as you get into the car as well, which is branded with the car's name. And the alloy wheels are nicely dual tone as well, and I think that is pretty much it. Oh no, sorry, it's got these wind deflectors, which I'm not sure that they're necessary. I don't even think that they look that good. Last time I saw these kind of things, I think were on Ford Cortinas and Ford Sierras. So yeah, if I bought a Suzuki Vitara Brezza S-Edition, I would ask them to specifically not put those on there. And by the way, they do create a little bit of wind noise, ironically. Yeah, the rest of the package is pretty much as per usual. Inside, the bright brick theme of the exterior is continued with what Suzuki calls Uber Life Silver trim pieces. It looks neat and tidy, as does the relatively comprehensive instrument cluster, which features useful displays for fuel consumption and range to empty. Moving to the rear seats and seated behind my own 1.8 meter tall frame, I found legroom to be generous. There's even a neat little coat hook integrated into the back of the front seat backrest. Headroom too is more than sufficient. Note, however, that the center rear passenger only has a lap belt. The boot is of a decent size at 328 liters, but it is a little bit smaller than what is offered by the Hyundai Venue and Chery Tiggo 4 Pro. The rear seat backs are split 60-40, and by tumbling the cushions forward you can achieve a nicely flat loading area with the seats folded down. A full-size spare wheel and the necessary tools are located underneath the boot floor, which is always very convenient. Okay, so what do you get for your 270,000 plus Vitara Brezza S-Edition? I would say you get a decent amount of spec. Very nicely balanced, I would say, in terms of its comfort features. Power steering, electric windows all around, you've got rear park assist, you've got an infotainment system that is Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatible. There's a USB port, you've got climate control, electric mirror adjustment, obviously, and then a height adjustable driver's seat, which is cool, and it does kind of make up to some extent for the lack of reach adjustment on the steering wheel. The steering wheel only offers rake. And then lots of little storage holes, so the door pockets are nice and big, and the drinks holders are nice and big. You've got a little storage hole in front of the gear lever, 2 cup holders in the center here, and then another sort of larger bin at the back. Double front cubby, the top one even is nicely sized. I wish they would put in a rubber matting just to sort of stop things from sliding around and making a cheap sound. And I think on that topic, it is an area where Don't get me wrong, the Vitara Brezza doesn't feel poorly built. but it is extremely plasticky in here. The only cloth that you get is sort of an insert on the doors, and then obviously you've got the cloth seats. I would say, and it still feels weird saying it, but a Chery Tiggo 4 Pro, even at base spec, feels like a more premium product than a Vitara Brezza. What it does lack, unfortunately, and for me that is quite problematic, is in terms of safety spec. You've only got the dual front airbags, and you've got ABS brakes, obviously. No ESP, which is particularly disappointing, seeing as the Chery Tiggo 4 Pro does have ESP. What makes it even more bizarre is that the Suzuki Celerio, almost 100,000 Rand cheaper entry-level car, does have ESP. Otherwise, yeah, comfortable, everything works well, everything is logical, simple. It's a common sense car. So what is the Vitara Brezza S-Edition like to drive? Same as any other Vitara Brezza, to be honest, and very similar to most modern day Suzukis, because it uses the 1.5 litre 4-cylinder engine that is used in a variety of Suzukis, with a 5-speed manual gearbox powering the front wheels. So 77 kilowatts, which is decent enough, you know, for a naturally aspirated 1.5, and then just over 130 newton meters of torque, which isn't a lot, but you know, Suzuki has become masters at extracting decent performance and excellent fuel economy out of this sort of drivetrain combination. So I would say around town, normal day-to-day driving, you're going to find it more than nippy enough, and in fact up to 100 feels quite sprightly. Nice slick 5-speed gearbox as well. It's also available as automatic, by the way. And then efficiency, yeah, I would say it's probably the most efficient crossover of its size on the market. Up to 100 km per hour especially, you know, I've been averaging between 6 and 6.5 liters per 100 without even trying. It only really starts to drink a bit more when you start pushing 120 and you then want to overtake, because at 120 it is doing 3,600 odd revs per minute in top gear, so it gets quite buzzy, the engine, and busy, I guess. So if you're going to do a lot of long road driving, high speed driving, fully loaded, you might not be able to get the consumption that you would have expected, but I think in the way that this car is going to be used by most people, it is extremely efficient. And that's very important these days with the fuel price sitting where it is. And you know, if you take that argument a little bit further and start talking about general running costs in the long term, I think you're onto a winner here. It's got a great warranty and a great service plan, and it's an uncomplicated engine. There's no turbo to brake, you know, and Suzuki's are known to be generally very reliable. So I think it's a very good common sense for the times drivetrain. Another thing that Suzuki tends to get right most of the time is its ride setup. They really know, and I think they understand who buys these cars. So there's no attempt to make it feel sporty or, you know, dynamically like razor sharp. Steering is precise enough, it's nicely weighted, it's still, you know, power assisted obviously. It's got a very supple suspension, very soft, which if you combine it with nice plump tires, there's a lot of give in the suspension and the tires, so it really rides bumps very nicely. It feels smooth and comfortable and controlled. I guess the only downside is that, you know, when you do push on a bit, and with its sort of raised center of gravity as well, it can feel a bit top heavy, but I don't think that's how it's going to be driven. For the most part, you know, it's just a very comfortable, the seats even, it just sort of, you know, all works together to create this very comfortable driving experience. It's also nicely refined. The cabin is well insulated. There is a little bit of wind noise, but I think it's these silly wind deflectors. Okay, conclusion time. Should you buy a Suzuki Vitara Brezza S-Edition? I think personally I would just stick with the GL. It does everything that this car does, you know, at a cheaper price. But I can understand that some people, when they're on the showroom floor and they've shown this one next to a GL, they might be tempted by the little bit of extra sort of styling features, let's call it that. And certainly it's not going to make a big impact on your monthly installment. And the wheels do look nice, I would say that. It's a very convincing product at the price. It's great value for money. It's got nice standard features. It's very comfortable to drive, and it's got good comfort features. Even a few nice luxury touches, like the park sensors, like the climate control, and like the Android Auto and Apple CarPlay infotainment system. Annoyingly, it doesn't have ESP for me, and only 2 airbags, which is for me personally potentially a deal breaker. But what else do you get in this segment that gives you those things? And there aren't many. Your Toyota Urban Cruiser, which is essentially the same car. So if your brand preference is Toyota, and if you like the look of the Urban Cruiser more than the Brezza, then that's obviously something to consider. Also, if you live in a sort of small dorpy out in the sticks, then it's far more likely that you'll have a Toyota dealer nearby than a Suzuki dealer, and for servicing, obviously, you want to stick to your franchise dealership. So then the Urban Cruiser comes to the fore a bit more. It's also Toyota country, so resale value on a Toyota is likely to be a little bit better than the Suzuki. But that said, I don't think Suzuki is doing badly in that regard either. And then you've got the Hyundai Venue, which, it's a car that I've never quite bonded with very well. It's also been ages since I've driven one. And at this price level, you can only get I think it's the 1.2 litre base spec Venue. And yeah, it doesn't quite match these cars on spec, but even more so when you start bringing the Chery Tiggo 4 Pro into the equation, which does have ESP at sort of similar pricing. And it's an interesting, interesting scenario. I am a Suzuki owner. I believe in the brand's reputation for reliability and efficiency and quality and good service. But increasingly, I guess, with the Chinese brands making so-called expensive luxury features so affordable, not having ESP in what is essentially a family car to me is just not acceptable. So if I had to buy now, I would probably buy, and out of those 4, I would probably buy the Tiggo 4 Pro. You can see my review on the higher spec version. I'll put a link in the description below. Alternatively, I'll just wait, because Suzuki is going to launch an updated version of the Vitara Brezza at some point, I think this year, or maybe early next year, I'm not sure. And I expect that car to have ESP, because the new Suzuki Celerio that has just been launched, which is 100,000 Rand cheaper than this car, does have ESP. So I think that problem is going to go away. What won't go away is the inherent qualities of this car. Very comfortable, very efficient, excellent value for money. I can understand why it sells so well. Thanks guys, catch you next time.